keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls. You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And you t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan! Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
WrestleRoasts on ad-free shows and ATC.
Welcome, everybody, to WrestleRoasts. I am your host, Dan St. Germain, joined, as always, by Robert, Scott, and Mike. How are you guys doing? We talked to some of our fans this weekend.
Oh, yeah, you guys did. I didn't. Nobody asked to talk to me.
Okay, now here's the thing about
tell
that.
Me
Scott.
lies, tell me sweet little lies. That's what
Here's the thing about that, Scott. All of your fans don't buy stuff because you don't buy stuff.
Well,
The 18 to 49 demo, you know, or whatever.
I talked to a 78-year-old from Massachusetts. It was nice. He was burying his son.
was he?
What happened to Shane?
No.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. You say that like it's that much of a stretch.
Also, Robert. He's never called him son.
No, that's a good point.
All right, folks. Well, we got the roast of Gangrel today, but some roasts coming up. We got Darby Allin next week, and Abdullah the Butcher with Zach Amico, Alexa Bliss, Kane, Scott Steiner, and Cyndi Lauper. So a lot of fun ones coming up. For our $5 Patreon, we're doing the roast of Alberto Del Rio this week, and we're going to answer some fan mail. So check that out, folks. It's going to be a fun one. Alberto's had a crazy couple of years, so it'll be fun to get into that. Halloween Havoc 1993, then we got a week off, and then we're doing The Undertaker in the New Day Haunted. What's the name of this thing, Robert?
I don't know. It's The Undertaker and New Day Netflix Haunted House Spectacular.
I think it escaped
Netflix.
The Undertaker, which was something unfortunately Chris Kanyon was able to do.
The roast of Nick Gage in November. World War III. We're going to be reviewing one of Robert's MLW shows. We're going to be doing, well, one of the things that people have expressed was that they wanted to see us talk through some live shows. So we have QT Marshall, the wrestler, but I prefer to talk about that without the live aspect of it.
You don't want to do that through a doc. It's got to be.
It
really should be the current WWE pay-per-views we have to watch.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I guess the next one. I don't know when the next one's going to be, though.
I think what we should do is let's maybe do a poll, maybe like 3 shows, and people will pick. I also think
TLC. I mean, that'll happen in December, so we could totally do that. Let's do that.
We can do Crown Jewel. It's in the middle of the day. I'm joking.
No.
I was kidding. I'm not watching it anyway, let alone voluntarily doing it live, watching it from Saudi Arabia.
You know, something has to be immoral for it to be from WWE and Robert not to watch it.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
Yeah. You even sat through that Spike Dudley. I don't know. I was trying to think of that murder. What's the name for murder porn? But
How many times have you typed
Spike
that into
Dudley
Google?
murder? Yeah, like,
I don't know, man. I was just making a fucking
What's the
bad
name
joke.
for murder porn?
I don't know, Bucks. That sounds like
Mike Dudley seems like a nice guy.
very weird ASMR. I
no,
know we had
Spike Dudley creeps me out because all I think of is that one scene from Beyond the Mat where he's talking about how he was like a school teacher and he's covered in blood while he's standing outside of like
That is the best scene in the movie. He's like quoting is he like quoting Macbeth, I think, as he's like
he quotes it. He quotes I think, does he quote The Tempest? I forget.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let me see.
We went from murder porn to Shakespeare. Spike Dudley's had a really versatile career.
Which is fitting because that's kind of the story that we have with Gangrel. Is
also Shakespeare wrote a lot of murder porn.
that is true. That is very true.
Today we're talking about Gangrel, who feels like one of the nicer guys that we're roasting.
Yeah, I walked away really enjoying Gangrel. He doesn't have a ton of kayfabe accomplishments, but one thing he was Pro Wrestling Illustrated Wrestler of the Year, which is just kind of cool. And he's had an incredibly long run in this business. I think he started in like 1988 or something like that, 87, and he's still doing it. He's still, training wrestlers like Miro, who has obviously been awesome. My note was the nicest vampire porn director you're ever going to meet. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like all his shoot interviews, he comes across as pretty chill. It's like the opposite of honky. Also, like
when you try to convince people to do a thing like that,
Yeah, that's what he acts like. Yeah.
You have to be charming and kind. Yeah, you can't like act like a real vampire and then expect people to let you direct their porn. You have to be like a nice guy and then do creepy things, right?
You ever watch porn and hear the director? It's the funniest thing.
Hear him?
I've been him.
I've seen him.
I was once watching, and the guy's just like, "Settle down, everyone. We're not finished."
Unreal.
Dude, one thing I heard from these interviews is Luna. Did you hear Luna Vachon's and Gangrel's how we met story? It's fucking wild, man. Like Gangrel was like backstage, and Luna Vachon came in with like a bloody head, and she's like, ah, and he's like, oh, he got really scared. And then I guess they were taking a car to the event, and Luna got on top of Gangrel and just started punching him in the face and saying, "Why don't you like me?" And then she bit his back, and then they got together, folks. So that's the equivalent.
So if you're single right now, it's your fault.
She basically was like, it was like dating OJ, I guess, but it
sounds like this happened on a playground.
But one of the more romantic wrestling stories, I guess, they split up but stayed friends, and he was a stepdad to like Luna's kids, so he comes off great when he's talking about Mark Marrow, because I guess they almost got into a fist fight, which I mean that would have been quite the eyesore.
I love that your bright side of Gangrel is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. So I got to ask, how are you so good at handicapping these games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. And those picks for the year, every NFL pick so far, 23-8. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I mean, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
It's just like a few YouTube videos where he talks about somebody else. He had nice things to say about Shawn Michaels, and I think
also, not to forget,
if you do a shoot interview and you have nice things to say about Shawn Michaels, that is special and deserves to be appreciated.
You are Paul Levesque.
I had a Gangrel toy when I was a kid, he was the one character that actually scared the shit out of me. Undertaker never brought any fear out of me. Gangrel was a problem. That's a scary dude. The gimmick like makes sense, but for how long, and then he, you get the fangs, and so Vince changes everybody's character every like 4 years, but you can't do it because you got fangs, so you're just like, you got to go.
Guess you could be a werewolf.
I saw him 2 years ago, the WrestleMania weekend when Mania was at MetLife Stadium. He did a show and he wrestled the longest match of the night. It was like 16 minutes or something, and he did great. Like he looked great and he was able to move around and shit. Yeah.
And top 5 entrances of all time.
Well, I don't know about top 5, but amazing entrance and amazing theme. Yeah.
Awesome. Robert, well, we'll get to you at the end. Mike, what do you think of Gangrel?
I mean, yeah, I'd go top 5 entrances and the music. I mean, Edge just did it, and it still got a massive pop. I think it's one of Johnston's like underrated songs. The song's fucking great. The visual's great. The spitting of the blood. Did they do the blood spit before the Triple H water spit?
I think so.
Yeah. So even that was, the whole thing is awesome. I mean, this time period is a blind spot for me, but whenever I watch anything from it, I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. And I think I was like 15, 16 when Gangrel came out. I think if I was like 2 years younger, he would have been my favorite wrestler, and I would have been.
And you would have murdered kids at a school.
Yeah. And he's like the nicest dude. I have like a quick story about him. I think Robert has a longer one, but I did a roast of Iron Sheik, and Gangrel was on the dais, and he was just very nice, and he was just looking for help on how to do a roast set. And I've worked with a lot of people. He was one of the most like patient and like kind and like understood it. Like a lot of people, you'll try to tell them how to do a roast and they'll fight against it. And he was like, I got it, buddy. And then he did it, and he was great. Like, like we wrote jokes. It was like in my head, I'm like, I'm writing fucking roast jokes with Gangrel in the back of the Comedy Store. And it was a cool fucking moment. He's really, really sweet, and obviously loves his own gimmick, but not in a sad honky tonk way. Like that's what's crazy is that I think like even though he looks like Gangrel, I think I don't think David Heath, the person, has been lost, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm imagining we're gonna see him in the Dark Side Luna coming up.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be in that. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. Great. And I feel like he's gonna come off really well, which you can't say about a lot of wrestlers.
I mean, almost all the interviews are gonna be like, and then I ducked when she threw a toaster at me.
Yeah.
it's gonna be like shit like that. Like, Robert, you know Gangrel. You were the best man at his wedding.
I was. I held the chalice of blood. It was not. First of all, as Gangrel as the wrestler, what I loved about Gangrel is there was a true commitment to the character. There was never any point in time where he was like winking at the audience or didn't make you believe like, all right, I may not believe a lot of what these guys do, but like that dude's a fucking vampire, or believes he's a vampire. And they have had other people do vampire gimmicks. Kevin Fertig did it. It never worked the same. The Gangrel music was great. He's responsible for getting Edge and Christian over at first. I always loved when I would play the video games because his name was copywritten elsewhere, so it would be the only thing on the loading screen where everything was like WWF, and then this one thing for Gangrel. And as a future lawyer, that just makes me very, very happy.
I believe that it was owned by, I think, Wizards of the West Coast. I think it was like a part of like Magic the Gathering.
It was one of those.
I heard Michael Jackson owned it. He bought that in the Beatles catalog the same day.
I'm on Yesterday and Gangrel's name.
So this is a weird, like in my non-wrestling life, trying to hide any association I had to wrestling. I was in-house counsel for the Florida Panthers, who are kind of a professional sports team, but not really. And my office was in the arena. So you have plenty of times you walk around the arena during the day and the lights aren't always on. And I'm walking through this one private club area and there's just a shadow in the corner. And I look over and it's fucking Gangrel. It's almost pitch black. And he's lit with a red exit sign. And I just walk up. I'm like,
dude, he really is a character from Blade.
It was terrifying. I'm like, are you Gangrel? He's like, oh, yeah, we're getting a tour of the building because his buddy was there. His buddy, who I came to find out after I shook his hand, was the star of his porns. So I had to go wash my hand after. And really nice guy. I had a conversation with him. He gives me his business card. I put it in my suit pocket. And
they still don't have cum on the hands.
I don't know what they were doing right before they
he
got
found
to the
out it was
arena.
the guy by looking up the porn. Then he had to wash his hands because he came in his hand.
That's exactly that's what it was. It was the direction. It was like
all I needed is Gangrel and that red light. That'd be hard.
It was very Hitchcockian. And then they came to the game that night. I get paged and they're like, hey, you need you to come in and guest services. Gangrel and this other guy are there, and they're like, oh, it's our buddy Rob. And I'm like, hi. They had a giant stack of free drink coupons for the strip club that they were opening. So here I am, the buttoned-up attorney, and all they see is the vampire giving me a stack of strip club gift redeem things. As if this couldn't get any better, I go home. My wife goes to get my suit dry cleaned, and the dry cleaner goes, oh, this card was in the pocket. It was Gangrel's card for his swingers club that he runs. And my wife looks at this and she goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, no, it's wrestling. And as soon as I said it was wrestling, as soon as I said it was wrestling, she completely understood. I'm like, no, it's a fake vampire who runs a swingers club that came to the hockey arena. And somehow in my life, all of that made complete and total sense. So thank you, Gangrel, for almost costing me my marriage. Appreciate it.
You guys should go. It would be a couple bonding time.
Look, Robert. The fact that your wife has never punched you in the face means, is it really a marriage, according to Gangrel?
Yeah. I think we should all go with our wives to Gangrel's Swinger Club. That should be like our Christmas celebration for the podcast.
Maybe not during COVID.
Folks, that's so funny. All right.
Blood is totally COVID safe.
Mike is going to determine the order, but Mike, can I go first because my laptop is dying and I want to be able to use my laptop? And then I can zoom in. Thank you. The roast of Gangrel. Gangrel is what would happen if Marty Jannetty got his shit together. Gangrel looks like Christian with a shellfish allergy. Fangin' and bangin' is definitely a better slogan than humpin' and dumpin', which is what Otis and Dewdrop do at Waffle House. Gangrel entered the ring the same way Benoit left it. He's Lost Boys, but Thousand Island instead of blood. He looked like he was using Edge and Christian to sneak into high school parties. Porn is just wrestling with a cleaner finish. For Gangrel, a coffin drop is an accident he and the other pallbearers had carrying Mabel's casket. I should have just used that for next week. Gangrel is proof that if you never give up and pursue your passion, you too can have a life you don't realize is shitty. Stu Hart took one of Gangrel's teeth, which sounds like the beginning of Canadian Lord of the Rings. Luna screamed at you, punched you in the face, bit your back, and then we're together for another 13 years. You didn't get married, Gangrel. You were taken hostage. He played an uncredited prisoner with Crohn's in Human Centipede 3, which is the shitty Mike Lawrence origin story no one asked for. He's the greatest argument against white privilege. He used to be pretty boy Dave Heath. Has there ever been a legitimate pretty boy in wrestling? They all look like what happened if a rotisserie chicken could grow a soul patch. He went by the Puerto Rican Vampire, or if you're Jackson Riker, Vampire. He's only scary if you imagine that the entrance happened after he went down on Luna on her period. Gangrel got his clothing from Hot Topic and his body from Hot Pocket. He's the greatest three-man group of all time. For the Broods, the greatest three-man group of all time. If you don't count the NWO, the Shield, the New Day, Jersey Triad, the Wyatt Family, Demolition, and that Brad Maddox, Page, Xavier Woods sex tape. All right, that's it for me, folks.
All right, Scotty.
All right. Gangrel, great guy, awful vampire. Holy water burns him, and so does his pee. To this day, he's in perfect shape. Unfortunately, that shape is a hexagon. He decided to wear fangs after he added the letter N to the word everyone was calling him. He can't see his reflection because he doesn't own a mirror. The Gangrel gimmick was inspired by Lost Boys. That's Lost Boys, not to be confused with Lost Girls, which is what happens when Teddy Hart drinks.
He's your OJ.
Yeah, I love him. He looks like a toad in a Halloween costume. I'm not saying he's ignorant, but he calls Thailand Transylvania. Huh? He once spit blood on Donald Trump. Hey, man, who the hell do you think you are? Hillary Clinton? Luna was the mama fratelli to Gangrel's sloth. It was love at first fight. They complimented each other. He could turn into a bat, and she was batshit. He hisses if you show him a cross, but only because he was molested by a priest. He sleeps upside down, but only because that's how he passed out. In the uncensored version of Monster Mash, there's a verse about Gangrel getting kicked out for taking a shit in the punch bowl. He looks like Billy Idol if that plane scene in The Wedding Singer took place on a megabus. All right, there's one.
Oh, man, that was
I confused the two, so I have to remind myself. Billy Idol sang Eyes Without a Face, and Gangrel makes me wish I had a face without eyes. He opened a wrestling school because it's the only type of school he doesn't have to stay 2,000 feet from. He's nocturnal, but only because the sun hurts his hangovers. And finally, he can only enter a room by being invited in. That has nothing to do with being a vampire. It's just something a judge decided.
Great. All right,
Oh, that was great. Who's next, Mike?
Robert. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Like any vampire, Gangrel had to avoid the light, so he only competed in dark matches. Start out with a Scott joke. It's fine. Gangrel is what would have happened if the vampires in Twilight drank Guinness instead of blood. Vampires are immortal, which means he'll wander the earth for all eternity, remembering what Luna sounds like when she comes. For a simpler time, when the bloodbath referred to viscous liquid pouring from the ceiling and not Nick Khan going over the roster. Gangrel directed porn, which makes sense since he was known for coming up with creative finishes. Gangrel was a favorite of Vince McMahon. McMahon loved the idea of a wrestler who couldn't die. Christian was mistakenly paired with Gangrel because Bruce Pritchard didn't understand what Vince meant when he said Christian sucks. Gangrel was trained by Boris Malenko, which seems fitting that a fake Russian would teach a fake Russian.
Man, that would have been good. I could tell.
It was going to be good. I'm doing it. Fuck it. We're doing it again.
We're live, pal.
We're live, pal. I'm like Sid all of a sudden.
Billy, what's his name?
Get me some scissors. I'm Sid. All right. Gangrel was trained by Boris Malenko, which seems fitting that a fake Russian would teach a fake vampire a fake sport. It was worth going back for that. Fuck you. Gangrel competed in Stampede Wrestling and got the idea to do a vampire gimmick after seeing the Hart brothers sucking the life out of Stu's promotion. Gangrel was part of the Ministry of Darkness, which people don't know is just a nickname for talent relations. And in the end, you'd think we'd be scared to roast a sinister vampire, but Gangrel once wrestled as pretty boy Dave Heath, so at least we know he has a sense of humor.
All right, and finally, Mr.
We're
Michael
starting
Owens.
Halloween off right, roasting Gangrel. He's a vampire. He's shaped like a pumpkin, and his wife is a ghost. Yes, he was married to Luna, even though he never fucked her. She always fucked him. They were both baptized by Nikita Koloff and converted to Christianity.
That's
I don't know.
amazing.
Maybe she'd still be alive if she was converted to being a vampire. We were going to roast Midian, but we decided to make fun of someone less important. Years before Nick Camarado, Gangrel perfected the art of wrestling while wearing an outfit made of Arby's napkins. As Ultimate Warrior proved, with a great physique and an awesome entrance, you could be a star. Gangrel had one of those things. The Brood entrance is still the preferred soundtrack guys listen to when they go down on a woman who's on her period. He was so bad at promos, Christian looked like a star next to him. It was the only time. He's such a good vampire that even when he started wrestling, he already looked like he was in the twilight of his career.
Oh, get the fuck out of here with that one.
Yes.
He's supposed to be an immortal vampire, but 20 years ago, he looked like Greg the Hammer Valentine now. He surgically gave himself fangs. His mouth is even more dangerous than Tommy Dreamer's. You got to give it to him for continuing to live the gimmick that died the same year Hoobastank was on the radio. Finally, he's going to have those fangs forever. Yes, he's a boring wrestler, but he's going to be a great skeleton.
Gangrel, everybody, the roast of Gangrel. Mike, I'm coming in on my cell phone if you can let me in.
Yeah.
Just because I'm about to die. Roast.
I mean, it's hard for Dan to say I'm about to die and us not take it seriously.
All right, I'm back. Let's get to Show and Hell. By the way, Gangrel seems like a good guy.
That was one of the more fun roasts. after Honky Tonk Man, I was like, and JBL, I'm like, I like Gangrel.
Yeah, he's pretty good dude.
He's a super nice guy, and if you don't follow him on Facebook, he does a lot of Facebook Live stuff from his school, and he's got a lot of interesting insight on the business, and he's very generous with his time. When I worked with him in MLW, he was not only was he super nice, he was just sitting and talking to all the younger guys and just imparting wisdom. Really, like one of the genuinely good dudes who, by every account, should be a total scumbag when you say he's a vampire who directs porn. Super nice guy.
The one member of the Brood I would have been okay with beating a Kenny Omega.
You know,
You're a patriot, Mike. He's the only American, and he lives in Fort Lauderdale.
And wasn't he popped up in that weird Sammy Guevara Matt Hardy taped match, and everyone was just like,
it was actually pretty funny. I mean,
exactly. He was like, oh, nice, it's Gangrel.
The match itself wasn't very good, but he blamed Matt Hardy for betraying the new Brood, which is hilarious because it was like an angle for a week. So, like, he gets it, man. He gets it.
All right, for sure. When he was a part of the ministry, he was getting cheers, right? And then they split him up, or what happened? But it's like they broke the group apart fairly quickly, and it was over.
Yeah, then he turned his back on Edge and Christian, and then, just was the guy that people beat for essentially after that. But he seems a lot more tolerable of a hang than Vampiro. That's for sure. if we want to compare vampire hangs.
Yeah.
Speaking of hanging vampires, let's get to Show and Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Show and Hell. I stumbled upon. Instead of giving you guys the Gangrel porn, I gave you. I guess somebody could come to this. It was the Undertaker strangling Gangrel from over the rope. Gangrel,
David Carradine would come to this.
Not only did by the way, it reminds me of that great fucking Norm bit. If you haven't seen it, the autoerotic asphyxiation bit, it's so great. Gangrel
Is it you're either coming or going?
Gangrel does a great job selling in this. And it's, JBL doing it, which just seems like fucking the worst episode of Wrestler's Court ever. But, it was very Attitude Era, man. It was just like, who would have thought that, like, was this after he hung Big Boss Man, or was it before? I think it was after.
This
was before.
February 2nd, and that was the end of March.
Oh,
And he
wow.
claims it almost killed him. He said that Midian was on the outside and had I guess whoever was holding it, what you're saying, Bradshaw, had him let it go because he was genuinely choking. He was passing out.
Jesus Christ. Well, it looks
Even
great.
before that, is boogers coming out of his nose and stuff. That's no fun.
No, that's it. You don't want a booger problem as a grown man,
Never.
especially when you're dressed like he's like a perfect.
Especially when you're addicted to the taste of them.
The problem too is that my problem with this was you can't hang a vampire. That is not a way to hurt a vampire. It canonically does not work.
Yeah, but you could hold it tight, I guess.
Did everyone see Midnight Mass this past weekend?
I saw the trailer. Does that count? It's 7 hours long.
No, what is this? I don't even know what it is.
It's like a horror. It's the same guy who did Haunting a Hell House, but anyway, chicken. If you like Salem's Lot, you'll like this.
I just want to be like Cornette.
Is that an ad?
I just want Cornette to be like, "Fuck you, Vince Russo. You know even less about vampires than pro wrestling."
Dude, Vince, what's it called? Cornette. I listened to that clip where he was praising the Daniel Bryan, Danielson, Kenny Omega match.
It's insufferable because it's Bryan carried Omega to his first good match.
It was so
fucking stupid.
So stupid. Also, you can kind of tell, Kenny kind of. It seemed like he controlled a lot of the pace of that match. Anyway.
Yeah, if you didn't, you can't just be carried to a 30-minute time limit draw like that unless
no,
in the ring with you.
No, it's crazy. Anybody else have anything to say about?
Oh yeah, so this is peak loving and hating watching wrestling at the same time. Where if anybody were to walk in and I'm like, yeah, this evil cult is hanging a vampire. It was also weird because it was a weird heel versus heel thing where it was the Brood against the Ministry. But this is also the dumbest Undertaker look outside of Teardrop Undertaker, where he's wearing the robe, where he has a goatee and he has the eyebrow ring, so it makes him look like an emo kid as opposed to any semblance of terrifying. And it's I
like the Dark Order. The Ministry storyline. Yeah, higher power. I did enjoy that.
But like Scott asked before, if someone actually tried to explain to you the Ministry storyline, they'd have an easier time explaining TNA's booking decisions because the Ministry made no fucking sense whatsoever, and they kept changing direction, and then in the end,
the big man of it all ruined it. But I thought everything leading up to it was. They were kind of good at the Carney shit of you were wondering what the fuck was happening. But the teddy bear thing I thought was a nice touch.
Well, where to Stephanie was cool, but I think this was just Bradshaw seemed a little too comfortable using that noose. That was my only takeaway on this one.
I watched a clip of this because I'd never seen it, and I watched the whole thing because this is the Attitude Era to me in a nutshell. It's a tag match. I think it opens the show. The clip that I watched was 9 minutes long. The match didn't start until 3.5 minutes in. Then the match ends 2.5 minutes later by DQ because all the other Ministry guys come in, and then the pre-match and the post-match are longer than the match, which is every fucking Attitude Era match.
Yep.
Because we know it, and Vince Russo has said it. Wrestling does not matter at all. It only exists to, fulfill the angles, and that worked for a while. I guess it's different than Raw now, where they do the same shit. It's just the match is 17 minutes. But the other note I had was everything Viscera does looks like it hurts because it definitely hurts. It's hard watching him do that fucking leg drop after knowing like what it did to like Taker's eye and the splash after what it did to Nash's back.
Well,
and the travel for a guy like that.
that's the thing. Yeah, like just being 500 pounds and like fucking, and he was
having to leave your house is insane.
Yeah. He wasn't. It's not like he was making great money. You know what I mean? He was like probably making good money, but like you got to buy 3 fucking seats for an airplane.
I have a question, which is because like I said, I was watching. Do they explain? Is it Mabel that becomes Viscera, or just Viscera comes in and Mabel's never mentioned?
Mabel's never mentioned.
Yeah, he's just Viscera. Midian
So there's
is
just
who
2 guys that look like this.
Right. No, well, Midian they convert. Midian they kidnap and turn him into Midian.
Because he's in he's Phineas,
He was-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Godwins, yeah.
Yeah, he was Phineas Godwin. They made him into Midian. Viscera just showed up as Viscera because he was off TV for a while. He was learning a new hold, Mike.
Then he found Missy Elliott's garbage bag and decided to use it as ring gear.
Viscera also just a super nice guy. When I was working with him, it was during when he was wearing pajamas. So that was his whole game. He couldn't have been a nicer dude. But yeah, he looked like everything was very uncomfortable. Like standing and breathing did not seem like a good thing for him.
No, he lived every day like it was his last because one of them was going to be.
Well, we'll be roasting him soon.
I think we just did.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. It's just, yeah, I mean, there's a lot with. Then we'd have to watch King Mabel.
Yeah, but then you get to watch Men on a Mission, and you get to realize how amazing Mo and Oscar were.
Is that type of overweight considered a disability?
Yes, absolutely.
So if he didn't wrestle, he could because he can't do anything else.
Right. If he didn't wrestle, it's like that one episode of The Simpsons where Homer wears a muumuu and gets a garbage bag of popcorn. That's pretty much Nelson Fraser's life.
That made me laugh because I feel like the bird Homer uses was more useful than Mo. Sir Mo. The other
Did
Mo.
you see the TLC special? Like it's like 600 pounds. My life's a prison. I forget what the fuck it's called, but
I feel like any flight that had all of Men on a Mission is a plane ride from hell.
yeah. I mean, like this guy. I mean, I just watched this like My 600-Pound Life, and it's like this guy. He can't even fucking move. He had to go into a kiddie pool to get goddamn washed down, which is like.
And yet they make it out of their house for wrestling shows. Because I have never in my life gone to a wrestling event where there wasn't someone who was like morbidly obese ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's look, man, it's our Lilith fair,
And let's be honest, if you're like 500 pounds, you either wear a tarp or a Stone Cold shirt. They only make 2 things.
Well, folks, it's time for We Must Hate Ourselves World Cup. We keep trudging along, and we got a good one this week. I think a clear winner too, but the Gobbledygooker versus the Zodiac. Mike, which gimmick is worse? What moves on?
Ah, man, this is the toughest one so far because they're both terrible, and the Gobbledygooker. The main thing that sucks about it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't, I mean, it is my favorite Survivor Series 90 debut. But no, the thing that's what's amazing historically. This is the same fucking.
Wait, you're not an Undertaker fan, right?
I am an Undertaker fan. No, I love him. I mean, I was making a joke, but like, it is amazing.
No, I was wondering. I was actually wondering because I was seeing.
Yeah.
Who.
Yeah, but it is fascinating. The same company and pay-per-view that introduces a guy who ends up being in the company for 30 years also introduces Hector Guerrero in a turkey costume. I mean, it's so interesting because I think the biggest detriment to this, like, as just a in-ring bad segment for the pay-per-view, yeah, it sucks, but it's in line with the times in many ways. It's the lead up. It's the egg. Like people thought this was going to be Ric Flair.
Dude, this was so bad that like 2 years later they had a fake Clinton impersonator and nobody said shit. They're like, thank God for this fake Clinton impersonator. So
he's terrible at WrestleMania 10. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Yeah, and the Gooker they bring up all the time. But I'm gonna pick Zodiac because Leslie, and it lasted longer, and also just like you're watching him as the Zodiac and realizing this motherfucker main evented a Starrcade a few months before. I mean, and it was as the Butcher, but it was still like, at least like everyone wanted the Gooker there for Thanksgiving. There was one person that wanted Ed Leslie on the card. We know, and it wasn't even Ed Leslie.
Here, I have a question for you, Mike. We know what Ed Leslie got out of Hogan's friendship. What did Hogan get out of Ed Leslie's friendship?
His wife, probably.
What?
His wife, probably.
Oh man. Well, that's interesting, Mike. I didn't think you were going to go that way. Scott, which gimmick is worse? What's moving on?
Dude, it's weird because Gobbledygooker is only bad because they hyped it up, and then it was really supposed to be a mascot, right? Either for the night or for the WWE. And and that's totally fine. It's just the idea that you are treating it like it's a debut of anything as opposed to just starting the show and mentioning there's a mascot here. That's where that gimmick fails because it's not a gimmick, it's a mascot. And then they stretched it because it was a fail. And now they can like kind of rewrite history and act like it was so like people act like this thing was supposed to wrestle or something. The Zodiac though, I have a question. So I've never seen any of these WCW guys, but when I saw his debut, it matched up with a lot of other guys like debuts, I guess. Is it kind of like the way it looked to me is like Power Rangers when Rita like sends a new guy down, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So what is that? This Kevin Sullivan thing? I've never seen this before. There's
the Taskmaster and the fat guy. I know he's King Curtis IKEA.
He's great.
The Master, was it?
Yeah.
He was really good.
The guy sitting on the throne, he looks like Stones. Yeah.
Sullivan, my son. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit.
They kept adding people, and it was a way for Hogan to just get a lot of his buddies in. This was when, Tenta is the Shark. I think Kamala comes in. You have Lockman. You have the Yeti.
All White, the Giant.
Yeah.
Final Solution was part of that.
I mean, it's amazing to think, like, Scott, like, this is, like, some of this happens within the same year as the NWO. I feel like the last pay-per-view where he fights the Dungeon, Hogan and Randy, I feel like Hall and Nash are already there, and it's weird to think that these were in a similar fucking timeline.
And so they dropped it fairly quick because I don't mind it. I think it's an interesting. It's kind of Lucha Underground-y, right?
Very much.
It's not good. It's really bad.
Oh, but it's bad. Yeah. I don't know. It reminded me of Power Rangers, and I was like, if I was a kid, I'd shit.
A lot of people didn't like Lucha Underground, but I was kind of impressed by what they did. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was different. And I mean, I guess it's what EC3 is kind of trying to do now. I don't know. But, I just did this was just, like, this just felt like the most Kevin Sullivan-y thing. It's like, of course there's going to be a wrestler called Zodiac. And of course, Kevin, Sullivan, who really should have been booking He-Man, like, he was into that kind of shit. But I'm going to go with Gobbledygooker, guys, just because it's like all he was the worst parts of Doink. Doink had, like, the cool heel thing and then eventually turned into this generic babyface that everybody hated. He just started out like that. So I'm going to go with Gobbledygooker, although I guess it wasn't close. It was close. Scott, did you go Zodiac or Gobbledygooker?
I think I think Zodiac is a worse gimmick.
Whoa.
Dude, because this is like a written out character, not like a thing that failed one night. Yeah. This is a plan, and it's fucking trash. Yes, no, yes. The fuck?
Because they they go yes, and he goes no, and then they go no, and he goes yes. I don't even know what the fuck the character is.
Yeah, and I go, what is that? I go, Zodiac sign? Is that, what do they think that means?
He's a toddler.
Yeah, he's a toddler being difficult.
He's a toddler dressed like a zebra. I look, the gobbledygooker was maligned because, yeah, like Mike said, people thought this was going to be Flair. Taker actually was worried that they were going to have him come out of the egg. They told that story before, and they put a Guerrero under there because this is the kind of wacky gimmick that could have worked. The fact that it
oh man, Robert is such a WWE apologist.
No, it's not. This is in Vince's mind. If we could have guys go out and wrestle in costumes, we could create wacky costumes. So the fact that the gobbledygooker didn't work spared us years of, people in animal costumes and furry convention knockoffs wrestling. So I'm thankful for that. Mean Gene made the most of it. He danced. That was good. The Zodiac just, it sucked because, yes, it sucked because you're giving Ed Leslie time when there were so many guys in the WCW roster who never got any opportunity whatsoever. It sucked even worse because it didn't make sense. It was like they just threw together stuff like you were making a creator wrestler and you just hit random. And you're like, he's going to have tassels and face paint. And it was completely nonsensical. And I've said this before, I like a character that you can say as an elevator pitch. I can say what the gobbledygooker is. It's a wrestling luchador turkey. Fuck, that sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. To explain what the Zodiac is, it's the guy who holds Hogan's weed needed a reason to be on the road, and the Dungeon of Doom always sucked. Because when you watch them, WCW would have been fine if they didn't try to be WWF light. They didn't do WWF stuff well. And when you tried to go after kids, it came across not like Power Rangers. It was VR Trooper. It was the bad
virtual
knockoff
reality trooper
with Joey Lawrence's brother. Yeah, of course you would know.
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, baby. That's what you're talking about.
The
Brother,
Country
you didn't
Kuku
like
Klux
it
Klan
more.
Zulu Warriors.
I can't see it, but Adina is packing her bags in back of.
You already left.
But yeah, so it's to me it's Zodiac by a landslide.
Wow. Well, we don't even need to get to Zach. It was three for Zach. Would you have gone Zodiac or?
At this point, Dan's going to realize Zach is not here.
Zach isn't here, Dan.
Oh, that's right.
He
That's
was
right.
never here the whole time.
Oh my God, it's been in my head the whole time. I thought
Dan, don't worry. Now you don't have to be as professional as you've been through the whole show.
Anyway, I thought that. So I guess Ed Leslie moves on. One of the many gimmicks of Ed Leslie moves on.
He's just hoping he gets a gift card if he wins this. So
most people, I don't know, man. Like most, like one of the things that Vince has always wanted to do is create his Mickey Mouse, and it's just never happened.
Yeah,
Like,
his name's John Cena.
That's true. You're right. That is.
Because Mickey Mouse also loves China. It's also amazing. Me and Dan, we roasted Ed Leslie, and I gotta say, one of the toughest people I've ever roasted because he just no-sold, and I really felt bad making fun of him.
And let me tell you something. He didn't no-sell like a wrestler who knew we were making fun of him. He no-sold like grandma lost at a Walmart. You know what I mean? It was a very different no-selling.
It was, yeah.
Mike, what's your?
I think I said during the roast, like, dude, you're 6'6", and I still feel like I'm punching down. It just felt so uncomfortable, and he just sits there.
I tried to get attention. I just put a pill in a pill bottle, and I shook it at him.
I mean, I'm only saying these stories now because, like, I don't know if I want to listen again because I feel like he'll listen and just be hurt more.
because you think he has Wi-Fi access? I think we're fine.
The subway station,
not to get Wi-Fi.
yeah, the subway station he's working for now might have it. They had anthrax access.
All right, let's get to high spot, low spot. We're doing a little bit differently this week. Dynamite is going to be towards the end. Mike, what was your high spot this week?
My high spot this week was Dark Side of the Ring being back. We didn't talk that much last week about it, but The
Canyon episode. Yeah, it was good.
The plane ride episode, the plane ride from hell was, not good for some of the people on it. I love the episodes where they have someone outside of wrestling talking about how absurd it is, and I thought it was incredible that woman Heidi Doyle, came forward and spoke about what happened to her, and and the repercussions that have happened since because of that, I feel are good. And then the Canyon episode was very sad, but this is a show I like watching wrestling. I love watching stuff about wrestling. The culture of it all, and the stories, and when you get people to talk about the truth behind all of the lies that we've been told, is really fascinating. So I really love that the show is back, and excited to see the rest of the episodes this season.
It also humanizes guys in a way. Like, I've never been the biggest Brian Cage fan, but I thought he came across really well in that Canyon episode. I've never been the biggest Young Bucks fan, but they also represented themselves really well on that Canyon episode. And then the Sinister Minister in costume talking about everything that happened to him. Seeing the pictures of what he looked like when he was in WCW kind of makes me want to delve into, what the hell led you to that?
I mean, also, the craziest part of that episode was when he hires the prostitute to have sex with Canyon on tape, and Canyon doesn't show up, and he's like, so, she was there. The meter was running. It was. The saddest thing about the episode to me is that there was no one outside of wrestling. There was no family members of Canyon. There was no partner of Canyon. And maybe they probably couldn't have gotten access to one, which just adds more to the loneliness of that guy's life. I felt really bad for him at the end of it, and just really sad.
Also a good reminder that nobody who ever went on Howard Stern came out looking good.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, except somehow Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? He judges X Factor now or some shit.
Oh no, he did. America's Got Talent. He doesn't
Alan for a little bit.
That's what's amazing is this week is, I think, Onita and FMW, and I'm like, man, I'm excited to see how Flair looks terrible in this one.
What was your low spot this week, Mike?
My low spot would have to be the ending of Extreme Rules was just insulting and terrible. And there was someone on the Facebook forum that tried to defend it, and their defense of it was terrible.
It's just Robert
I think, because listen, I don't think it's the ending that's the problem, though. The ending, look, if someone rigged it to help Roman, that's bullshit, because you've already suspended disbelief. He's a demon, and so it snapped because his energy was too strong, and he's got to hone his powers. Sadly, that's the decision they have to make. This is the corner they put themselves in. You have to go that direction. Everything else is stupid. And yes, that's stupid, but at least it makes sense.
It's also the corner that Gangrel and Luna had sex in.
But the part that sucks about it is the demon was already a character we liked, and then they added these fiend-like things to him that suck, like the grunting, like the being revived by red lights and his music, pulling out a giant kendo, like a cartoon kendo stick. It's fucking trash. And look, if it was played off as silly, I would laugh about it. But they go, oh my goodness, what is happening? Like, if you smile while you do it, I will get a kick out of it. Let us in a little bit that you know it's stupid. Audiences are that smart now. Yeah. But this isn't that. And
what was your low spot this week, Scotty?
Well, I guess I just stole Mike's, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
No, Mike, go ahead. Keep talking about that. I think we should all talk about that, no?
No, I mean, whatever. I just thought the whole thing was dumb. And, I mean, yeah, the pay-per-view was just – it wasn't even a bad pay-per-view. And individually, most of the matches were fine. It really is just the presentation and the staleness of modern WWE makes it so hard to watch.
Scott, What was your high spot this week?
My high spot, this is crazy, but on Dark Elevation, which we were at the tapings for, there was the matches. I mean, for the crowd alone, it's really fun to watch because we were super hot for that. But my favorite thing is in between the matches, they had these videos of interviews with Eddie Kingston and Homicide before the show, Bryan Danielson after after Grand Slam, MJF after Grand Slam, and these promos are just phenomenal, and they made me really excited to continue watching this shit, even though I don't need enticing. But yeah, that, and also we didn't, we're recording this Tuesday right now, so I don't know what happens on Dynamite. So I'm saying this.
Way to peel back the curtain. Dan's like, we're going to talk about Dynamite in a few minutes. And it's because we recorded this 2 days prior. So if Gangrel dies between now and the release, you'll know why we're still making fun of him.
Yeah, but it's also important that we do say that, because I think we're going to be talking about Dynamite, me, Dan, and you without Scott. And if Scott's not there to talk about Dynamite, people think he's dead.
Yeah.
My high spot this week was actually just UFC and everything UFC this week. Like they're paying off the Jorge Masvidal Jericho thing. I really hope that turns into a match. And I mean, I know this isn't wrestling, but the UFC card on Saturday night was tremendous, and was just like, I don't know, it was everything that I used to love about wrestling. But yeah, so that's UFC is my highlight this week. And
what I love about wrestling was the brawl for all.
The low spot. I'm sorry, 1 second. My wife is like milking a cow in here. Okay.
The low spot is Dan's dogs have not interfered once during this show, and we're disappointed.
Dan is being removed from the house right
Dan
now.
was like, "Hey, honey, Zach's not on this one. You can milk the cows now."
And my low spot this week was I missed the Hurt Business coming back together.
Wait, you missed it. That's your low spot? With his wife in the room. He's like, I missed Raw because I had to be out with my wife. That's my low spot.
Damn you, woman, and your sexual desires.
Dude, I hated that Hurt Business thing. Dude, there's no feeling to any of it. They announce a steel cage match with two of your biggest stars, and it feels like nothing because you're just like throwing it at us. It's such an empty, devoid company. But anyway, continue.
I mean, it's like Hurt Business, and I want to see them back together.
Dan's crying
That's
right
it.
now.
Sometimes that's all you want from wrestling. I'm also eating a cannoli while I say this. Robert, what was your high spot, low spot?
My high spot this week, which surprised the hell out of me, Monday Night Raw was one of the best episodes of Raw
You're
I've
out of
seen.
your mind, Robert. It was
If not
fucking
this
trash.
It
was trash.
It was were you watching a different show? This show, compared to Extreme Rules, was like it was leaps and bounds better. And it was a lame duck show because you're going into a draft. Everything's going to get reset. The Big E Lashley match, especially the cage match, was awesome. The Damian Priest, Sheamus, no DQ match, after burying Damian Priest the night before and saying, I don't ever want to see this guy again, he turned it around. He put together a really great match with Sheamus. They beat the hell out of each other. Raw was a lot of fun, and every segment was successful. Bringing the Hurt Business back is fantastic because I don't want to see Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander get fired. I like those guys. They're wildly entertaining. I'm excited for the sixth man they're going to do. I like the finish of Raw where Big E decisively beats Lashley in the end, and then Drew comes out to be the next challenger when they go, I'm guessing, to Saudi Arabia. Like, stuff happened on every segment of Raw. The AJ Styles Riddle match was great. The fact that Eva Marie got written off television, like, there were so many fun little moments throughout Raw. I don't know what it was, but this was a really solid 3 hours of TV when Raw, as the resident expert of sitting through every minute of Raw, when it's actually good, it's startling to me that they kind of figured it out. My low spot this week. Look, I go on the Facebook group because I love you guys and I want to see what you guys are saying. And somebody posted an article from one of the fucking dirt sheets because during Extreme Rules, which was a shitty, terrible pay-per-view that we suffered through, and the only way for me to make it through it was to tweet the misery of this. Ricochet liked one of the tweets pointing out how fucking idiotic the top rope collapse was. And the internet starts writing, oh, Ricochet liked an anti-WWE tweet. And then they put him in a 24/7 match.
Put over Raw, folks.
What, Dan?
I said, this is a guy who just put over Raw.
Yeah, I put over on Raw to punish Ricochet for liking my tweet. They put him in a 24/7 match with Reggie, and it wound up being a hell of a lot of fun.
Didn't it end in a DQ?
It ended in a DQ, which was stupid, but basically it was that moment where Ricochet and Ospreay did the stupid little flipping around and dance off stuff, but it was Reggie and Ricochet, and I'm like, all right, they made the most of being on television, but like, guys, it's fucking Twitter. Like, relax. All right, if you think this is the reason why Ricochet's career is being derailed, then you're probably right. Because, you know, Vince is very technical savvy. He knows what's going on everywhere. He knows how many TikTok views he gets. But I mean, just chill the fuck out.
Let me translate that for Robert. Guys, listen, man. Ricochet's the only wrestler that hasn't blocked me. Please just let him keep this. I really need those.
Robert's
I
low
need
spot was
this.
a humble brag.
No, my low spot was genuinely getting pissed that this made it into like the fucking exciting world of the dirt sheets. There's more important things going on, like Jackson Riker versus Karrion Kross.
Did they at least write WrestleRoasts host?
No. I'm too big for this show.
Yeah. That is not physically, but yeah, it is true otherwise. I mean, it's also Jackson Riker versus Karrion Kross is basically the week Jackson Riker found out Karrion Kross is Puerto Rican.
But it was super fun because Karrion Kross beats the fuck out of him, and while he's hitting him, he's like, "Fight back, Marine!" And the commentators got so uncomfortable because of it. They're like, "Oh." It was so just like that dude doesn't give a fuck. Oh, and for all the fear of Bearcat Keith Lee, it was kind of fun. He just like flattened Tozawa, and he's just
he's a heel now. He killed Tozawa, yeah.
But that's just fine. But you know what? He'll
Dude,
make
this whole
the
show
most
was
of it.
devoid of human emotion, and the only way you could enjoy it is if you want to have sex with robots.
Robert, do you want to have sex with robots?
I guess by Scott's logic,
Dude,
there be
this
some
is
fucking
like
robots.
This is like, how could you sit through this and think it there was no connection. It's like they're all like watching themselves wrestle at this point.
Well, because I was watching it on cable TV on a television, you were watching it on your phone through the streaming bootleg that you stole from, some Japanese torrent site. So it's a little different.
Brother, I come to porn on this phone, okay? Raw stunk. It's not the phone's fault.
Yeah.
Well,
Scott has watched 2 types of Gangrel entertainment on his phone.
Dude, they're booking like these crazy matches, and you just don't care at all. Like nothing means anything there. They don't even nothing means anything.
But
it's very nihilistic. It works.
I will say
it's serial killer shit, man. It's
I will say this. I will side with Robert
the same
on this. Scott, because Scott, you don't watch Raw most weeks, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't either. We have chosen to make less money on the Patreon to save our sanity. That we don't watch Raw, but Robert watching it every week and then saying, you know what, this one was better. I trust and believe that because he has no reason to say that otherwise.
What? No. It's the opposite of that. He's watched it so much that his brain is pudding. So he went Raw, good. Cage match, good.
He's critical of it, must be. I'm Team Robert on this one.
Well,
I can't tell the difference between the show and the commercials.
I would be Team Scott, except for he put over AEW Dark Elevation.
It was a Grand Slam, bro. It was great.
I don't know, man. Scott, we're going to be doing the Dynamite next, but what do you want to promote this week, sir?
Scott _Chaplin on Twitter. and Instagram. That's it.
Oh, should I do the Twitter question?
Oh yeah, let's do the Twitter question now. Yeah, and then
Okay.
I'll head out.
I'll tell you guys what's next week.
All right, you gonna do that, or you want me to do Twitter question?
Do Twitter questions, then I'll tell
Okay.
everybody.
All right. So we asked this during Extreme Rules. Yet we know what the next WWE show is. So this week's Twitter question: what's something that should come packed in with a Mattel WWE Crown Jewel Saudi Arabian playset? So we have at Pander Anger. I'll tell you what it won't come with: dignity. At Chom1AK, build a Jamal Khashoggi figure that is just separate action figure parts.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's sick fuck.
I will say that there was a lot of similar answers. I picked what I thought were the most creative versions.
Also proud that our fans know current events. So good for you guys for reading Newsweek.
At Bertlin19 says 9/11 flight plans.
Have you
At
seen
Promographic Ken, washable Monopoly money with fake blood. At Sizz of Death, comes with a random Japanese sumo wrestler if you miss the Yokozuna pre-order bonus. At McCoy1108, the rarely seen but often heard about sober Chris Jericho action figure. At BCox5503, we all know what isn't in it: Lacey Evans, because we all know in Saudi Arabia there's no such thing as a woman's right. EKG Pile Driver, intentional delays on shipping. At SS Clay Davis, 72 virgins. At Chris Economatis, leather lounge chairs for apathetic oil sheiks to sit in. Apathetic oil chic packs sold separately. At You Like the Jews, one, a competently booked Mansoor. At _ Tesso, alternate turtlenecks and t-shirts for all the female superstars. At Movie Guy, I guess, a stalled plane, 20 previously released superstars, Shawn Michaels' bank statement, and the Mrs. Dramatic reenactment of the Khashoggi murder. And finally, at Terminal Franc, how about a neat little ladder with the Crown Jewel logo, and it's the right size for your figures to have ladder matches? Look, everything doesn't have to be dismemberment this and blood money that. Sometimes I just want a fun toy and some happiness.
Best podcast fans in the world. And thank you, everybody who bought a t-shirt. It's been great talking to you. Buy more shirts. And we'll keep calling.
Yes, and those of you that are Scott Chaplin fans, get together, raise money, buy one shirt,
Oh, man.
stand around a bonfire and have Scott call you and give you the love you seek.
No, you know what it is? They're waiting for us to make a Scott Chaplin "It's Dope" shirt in the AEW font, and then they're gonna fucking buy them like hotcakes, and it's just gonna be just everyone around for a New Japan corner. It's gonna be awesome. Fuck! Now we got to make that shirt. I like that now.
Well, let's talk for Guy. Folks, please subscribe to the podcast. Listen to it on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. Join our YouTube page. Join the Facebook group. A lot of fun stuff coming on there. Check out DS Germain, DanceSaintGermain.net, my sites. Also, next week, we're going to be doing the Roast of Darby Allin, obviously the bright side of Darby Allin. We're going to be doing Tales from the Indies. We haven't done that in a while. We Must Hate Ourselves World Cup, probably the most evenly matched fight we've had. Mantar versus Duke the Dumpster Drosy. And not to Dynamite or done.
Mantar versus Duke the Dumpster Josie was definitely a match that happened on Superstars. There's no way.
Sure. Yeah, I think we could do that exactly. Mike, what do you got to promote?
My Instagram, Mike Lawrence Comedy, and the Facebook group. I love interacting with everybody. Buy shirts. We'll talk to you. I talked to a really nice dude. You buy a shirt. You pick one of us to call you, and we'll call you. And we'll talk wrestling and other dumb shit. So, yeah.
And Robert.
I'm going to promote the rest of the show because this isn't the closing. We still have to talk about Dynamite.
All right.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
It was dope.
Yeah, it was dope. I don't know what I was thinking. Raw was terrible compared to how amazing Dynamite was. That
feels
Dark
like
Order
there's people in
implosion was
attendance.
incredible. Magical stuff.
It's got
Just
a pulse.
We'll
All
see you
right,
next week.
adios, boys.
All right, folks, let's get to Dynamite. Let me zoom through hour one. Hour one, Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. An elite promo. Super elite, I guess, now. Lucha Bros backstage. Cody and Lee Johnson versus Matt Sydal and Dante Martin with Arn Anderson going fucking nuts afterwards. Mox. What?
I said it's the best promo.
It's pretty good, man. I wish the whole time I was thinking, like, why can't Jake's promos be like this? Mox, Darby, Kingston versus Bear Country and some other guy I've never seen. So I did not take the time. I said about this guy, Trent Beretta looks terrible, but Peter Avalon looks great.
it's
Yeah,
Rick Boogs off the gas.
My thought on this match, because we don't need any further, or at least I don't need to say any further thoughts, was it felt like the whole match was picture in picture, but it was just the whole screen.
Well, I will say that this is just my general note, which I shared with Mike before we started recording, is that this whole show was like a shit sandwich with delicious bread. Like the beginning, the ending, and closing, I fucking loved, and a bunch of stuff in the middle. I was like, what? Robert, what did you think of the show before we start breaking it down segment by segment?
It was like a frozen TV dinner. You knew what you were getting. Nothing was exciting about it, and it was not satisfying, but it filled up 2 hours of time.
I don't know, man. We got a new TNT champion though, and we got fucking
that's
Adam
hour
Cole and
two.
Jungle Boy. Oh, this is hour two. That's right.
That was hour two. Yeah, I mean, look, Cole and Jungle Boy was fine. I thought it was a good match. Punk being on commentary makes it so much more fun. Poor Jim Ross was totally lost on commentary with this. They bring it out and they're talking about how Adam Cole's song is number one in the metal charts. They talk about it for 2 minutes, and then there's just silence. And Jim Ross goes, Adam Cole has the number one rock song. And I was like, oh, JR has no fucking clue what's going on in this show. I also like Punk's.
It's like when Grandma puts the fucking iron in the freezer. You're like, oh no.
If I could be old fat hillbilly's advocate for just 1 sec here.
Wait, you got to be more specific. Who on the show are you talking about?
The one without the earring.
Okay.
Because I think what Excalibur says it's the number one metal song, and then I think JR says number one rock song too, and it is 2 different charts.
Jesus Christ.
I like Punk bringing up the Lloyds of London thing. That was clever.
Mike's autism just really shone through that last
Yeah, it did.
I'll take it.
Nobody drop a bag of marbles around him.
Match was good. That being the elite interview after with Danielson felt very NWO Nitro, where they were just kind of eating up time, having fun. And I don't like Danielson. This sounds weird. But I don't like him cursing. No. Like him talking about how he has no balls. It's like he always seems slightly classier than that. And I don't like that. That's kind of what they
didn't need it
him
either.
Into.
Like another guy needs the balls thing.
Yeah.
Like, look, I didn't love it, but if you're like, I don't know, Sean Spears, and you come up with a good balls line and it helps you sell some shirts, I get it. But Daniel Bryan does not need that.
Came up with Balls of Jericho in the second hour. You hold on to that. You clutch it. You clutch it. It's embarrassing. Because when you see him do balls and shit and stuff, it's like, did you think you were held back not being able to do this in WWE? Because your character was better for not doing that.
Exactly. It's tarnishing it when you don't need it. It's like Jay Leno doing dirty material. It doesn't make sense. It's like, no, you can stick with your you can stick with your PG stuff.
The hook is in one of the 1,000 trunks I own.
You guys have a Felcher girl? It's pretty good. You guys ever do a Cleveland steamer?
The most confusing part in this first hour, and look, I get it. They don't want to do scripted promos. God bless you. But that Lucha Brothers Andrade segment was seven
Andrade,
people
man.
lost at once.
All right, before we get to that segment, I do have to say, Adam Cole and Jungle Boy, I thought that was a terrific match. And I love, man, I'm sold on Adam Cole, dude. I think he may be the best wrestler on the planet, which is like I'm telling you, man. I mean, the guy's amazing in the ring. His facials are fucking perfect. I know he's not the biggest guy in the world, but damn, man, everything that guy does is good. He's always great.
Everything he does is good. He needs to be more protective of his finishing moves. I didn't love Jungle Boy kicking out of the Panama Sunrise or whatever it is.
But
It's
that's
like
not his finishing is the wizard now, right? The flying wizard, whatever.
I don't know. He's got like 6 finishing moves. Like, you got to establish one and go with it. I just think the Panama Sunrise looks really impressive, and be a little bit protective of it. Jungle Boy is very good. It's also weird because they always portray Jungle Boy as small, but then him and Cole were the same size. And that was, I mean, Mike, I could read Mike's mind while I'm going on. Like, Mike's gonna be like, see, I told you Adam Cole's tiny.
Yeah, he's a baby. What was funny was when he took his fucking knee pad off, and someone on the face group board like also mentioned this, and it's something I immediately thought of as like, dude, you need all the fucking padding you can get, because them bony ass legs, I just don't buy it as being impactful. I will say this: you
sound like Monique talking about other women, right?
Listen, man,
that bony ass legs.
Some more cannot do my set. All right. I get more love than Lonnie.
All right. Well,
he's over. I can't deny that. People love him. He does babyface shit. Like, the whole opening song and all that is pure babyface stuff. There's nothing like I feel like he's gonna break away from the Elite at some point, because do I think he's the best wrestler on the planet? No, but I do think he is one of the most over guys in the company. Even though he's not a guy I love, like, I hear what I hear, and it's, he's fucking, people love him. And the match was really good.
Mike, as a reward for being begrudgingly positive, I'm going to let you comment on Andrade's promo.
No me gusta. It's really bad. The Harold Ramis guy finally talked. We still don't know who he is. Geraldo Ramis is just what I'm going to call that guy from now on, because I don't know what he is. He's just there.
Also, is Andrade's new character booking the tag division? It's so weird.
And Pac isn't there, and he's mad at Pac still. It just really, I mean, here's the good thing about this company in many ways is they do so much. There are so many stories advanced on an episode, and it's okay that they're not all great, and it's okay that some of them will be concluded on Rampage or continue on Dark so that we don't have to watch them when we're reviewing Dynamite. Like, to me, Andrade and Pac and all that is a great Rampage feud, and you can keep that shit there. The guy should not be talking. It is amazing how unspectacular, like, you look at him and Malachi, and they came, within 2 weeks of each other. And Malachi's this fucking world beater who makes people want to take, their guns out. And the other dude, it's just a guy on the roster you forget is there.
What a seamless transition to Robert commenting on the Cody of it all. Robert, what did you think of this match? And what did you think of the post-match promo from NRA Dad of the Year, Arn Anderson?
So I don't know if this was the plan all along and they knew the crowd was going to turn on Cody, or they wanted to just, as of last week, or force it along. They booked this match to get Cody booed, and it worked. I like Dante. I like Seidel. I would have liked them to have won in theory, but I get where you're going with the story. Arn Anderson is putting his heart and soul into making Cody matter. He's trying to tie in the audience not liking him, and everything that happens makes sense that, hey, I'm too damn old to go out there and do this myself. But if it was me that got, carjacked, I'd pull a gun on him and shoot him in the head, which was pretty fucking weird. And then it was I don't manage
Oh,
losers,
that's
and he takes
babyface
Lee
upstate New
Johnson.
York shit, though.
Yes, that's clear. That's babyface Arn Anderson in the South. They're trying. I don't know. I like slow heel Cody. I like Cody being the guy that's going to be mad that the crowd turned on him, and eventually he's going to renege on the stipulation of he can never challenge for the title, and that's going to be a great heel moment. Right now, I don't know that they necessarily know exactly where they're going with it, but that Arn Anderson kid's a decent promo.
Mike, what do you think of this?
Oh, it's hilarious. It's so fun. It's bewildering. It's I'm Arn Anderson, damn it. Like, yeah, this was great. The reason Jake can't do this promo is because an investigation would happen right after. I have to point out how funny it is to me that Arn's like, I can't.
Also, in that story, Jake would have definitely been the one that was shot, right? That's who Arn was talking about.
Yeah.
Was Jake trying to stick him up for his car?
Yeah, and but
That's how we met Big Shotty Lee Johnson.
and so does I think the guy's name is Ken Hanley. I'm just not looking at his Facebook right now, but said about like that someone should have like used like the only way to stop him is with scissors. He's got a gun, and then I was like, "That's the new game, Glock paper scissors." It was so funny because like, yeah, when he says like, "I can't do it because I'm too old," and then Sting is in the next segment doing a wrestling move, and they're 6 months apart.
Yeah, well, Sting didn't eat another Arn Anderson in those fucking 30 years.
But it's also funny that like, because this storyline is so weird and all over the place. Like, this is the anger that feels like should have come out after you watch your son get beat up, not like a month after. And I guess I don't know where it leads because is there a third Cody Malachi match? I guess, but I don't want to see that.
But I also love that Arn pointed out the whole, you lost and you took your boot off. What the fuck were you doing?
I love that. Yeah.
That was great. That was like, this booking makes no sense. And then, you come out there to worry about me. Don't worry about me. Like, just don't be a fucking loser. I don't know. And then Lee Johnson felt like he was the heel here.
Yeah, he's like, at least you listen to me. Let's go. Let's go back to my Mazda. You know where the gun is.
Right. Cody's a loser. Stay tuned and watch his reality show.
It was a weird, like, I really thought that Cody would have gotten the pin in this. And I will say, and I know I've said this, like, I think once before, I don't think that Dante Martin should be taking the losses if he doesn't have to. I don't know why you don't pin Seidel. Like, Dante is one of those newer homegrown guys that they have that has like a limitless future, who is really getting over just by being in the ring. Seidel is a journeyman guy. Let him take the pins. Am I wrong there?
No, you're not wrong. And Punk did an amazing job of putting Dante over. He's like, this is why I can't, this is the kind of guy I want to wrestle when I'm back. Punk on commentary was a home run.
He's the best. I think
night.
he's better than Pat McAfee. I think he may be the best commentator.
Wait, because he's actually allowed to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of. I guess that's an unfair handicap. All right, let's get to hour 2. We got a Britt Baker promo.
Hold on, I just want to point out something real quick. We just literally did it. You had Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin in a 6-man tag that meant absolutely nothing, to the point where we're just like, it's not even worth talking about. Like, this has to go somewhere. This has to lead to Moxley.
I thought we already
being
talked about it. That's why. But yes,
not really. But I feel like it has to get to some point of Moxley being like, "What the fuck am I doing? I'm wasting my time."
There was one spot in this match that I did love that I will, because I've never seen it. But when Kingston and Moxley no-sold that guy's crossbody,
yes,
it was fucking hilarious.
It felt like a house show. I like that. I also like Sting coming out of the ring trying to undo the barricade, not being able to hop over it. Was a great little old man moment.
And one thing, because Scott's not here, but Scott brought this up, and I feel like we should talk about it because it happens in the first hour, and it does happen again in the second hour, which could lead us into it. But his complaint was with Punk on commentary, people chant CM Punk a lot. Like they did it during the Elite segment. They did it.
Well, he will be talking about this on his own review. This is a plug for our Patreon. Scott will be, if you're a patron and you want Scott's opinion on this, he will be dropping it on our Patreon. So check it out.
Yeah,
It's 11 seconds. It's dope, and that's it.
I mean, my thing about it is like Punk has some special deal where he has to be on television every week, and people want to see him. You know, like because it was fast. There was something different about this episode than other episodes that I noticed. Because the autism time, shit I pay attention to. The first match didn't start till 6 minutes in, and a lot of times Dynamite, you put it on exactly at like, 8:01.
That's because everybody loved the theme songs, man.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like a different company now, and I don't know if that's a bad thing, but like, Cult of Personality took 2 minutes, Jungle Boy, and then Adam Cole. Like these are three of your biggest theme songs, back to back to back, and then your match doesn't start till 6 minutes in. I like Punk on commentary. I mean, I love him on commentary. I do wonder, like, if you are the paying customer that goes to the show, would you rather him do a promo? Probably, right?
Sure. Maybe he did though after it was over. That happens a lot. I mean, Steve used to end Raw every time by like doing a fucking 20-minute promo to the crowd.
Because I wonder, like, I want to see him in a feud. Like he does seem like a guy who's
the problem, Mike. I agree with you. The problem is I realize like they had that match with Powerhouse Hobbs and Team Taz, and that's great. And you don't want to graduate Punk too fast, but also it's kind of weird. Now it just feels like he should be feuding with MJF, right? I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. Like it feels like these two have the biggest mouths in the company. They have to be talking to one another. It's just it's unrealistic if they didn't at this point.
Right, but it's the same way that the crowd chanted for Punk when Kenny was going to talk. And they're like, we want to see Kenny. So the crowd is telling you what you want. There's nothing there's no program to give Punk right now. He's not going to keep working with Team Taz, it doesn't seem like, in the immediacy, even though I thought him and Ricky Starks kind of makes some sense if they're going to go somewhere with Punk to do. Anywhere that he winds up working, either it's a main event program or he's stuck fighting the Hardy family.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I mean. I think MJF is the next destination. I don't think that Punk. I don't think Punk would want to fight Kenny Omega now. I don't think he's like ready. He's still got too much ring rust. But
I was trying to remember the other time they chanted his name, and it was the MJF promo when he was like laying into Darby for being straight edge. And, he already has the connection with Darby, and you are waiting for it. And it is like fucking swelling. And it's like, he's right there.
And you got the lesser version.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is like a slow roll into that storyline. Like MJF will beat up Darby and then Punk will come to his aid. I mean, I just think that they may like, this is a feud, like a CM Punk MJF feud. Like, we don't need that to be 2 weeks before Full Gear. Like, the whole thing about that feud is the match is going to be whatever, it'll probably be good, right? But the promos leading up to it and the weeks and weeks of shoot promos between MJF and Punk, that's why you want it. You want it for TV, really.
Because also Punk hasn't taken his verbal licks yet, and MJF is going to do it better than anybody. So you might as well let him do it first.
Right. I agree.
But do you want to put Max in another feud where he's definitely going to lose, where you're against an older guy? He just finished the Jericho feud where he lost, and
he's
now
going to beat Darby. I mean, before he faces Punk.
I think it's fine if he loses. Like, he can, because the thing about that character that's great is he always loses in a way which he doesn't acknowledge it, and I think it's okay. And I think that just being in a ring with Punk, even if he loses, will elevate him. And new fans who are watching now because of Punk, who already like this MJF guy, once they see them interact, are gonna fucking adore him.
I thought for sure, I mean, as dumb as it sounds, I thought that Punk was going to wind up stepping into the Scorpio Sky Ethan Page thing, because Scorpio Sky, when he was talking this Dan Lambert segment, when Scorpio Sky is talking about what felt like a pipe bomb, which was, I've been here since day one. I've won titles. I've grabbed your brass ring, and it's still not good enough, and I should be a main eventer. that's go and feud with Punk. Like, it was sitting right there. There's an interesting story to tell, and it didn't go anywhere.
That would be an interesting story to tell, but I don't think CM Punk wants to be associated anything with shoot fighting right now. So
No.
hour 2, we have Britt Baker's promo. We have, I don't even know what the fucking name of this faction is. It keeps getting better, bigger, not better. The Hardy Family Business versus Dark Order. And then there's Lambert Mania, which Robert just touched on briefly. Penelope Ford and Bunny versus Ty Conti and Anna Jay, an MJF Darby segment. And to top it all off, a really awesome Sammy Guevara TNT title win against the Great Redeemer Miro. I guess I'll just start from the end, but like Sammy did fantastic, friend of the show, obviously. Great title win. It was surprising. Do I think that Miro could have probably held on to it a little longer? Yes, but look, man. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with, like, if this leads to every TNT title match, Sammy Guevara's in it for the next couple months. I mean, those are all going to be fantastic matches. So, what did you think about this title win, Robert?
Yeah, it felt kind of out of nowhere in the sense that I felt like there was more of an opportunity to tell this story going forward. I didn't want to beat Miro yet. The crowd felt tired for the first part of this. Like, this audience was spent because the show I get why they put this on at the main event. I assumed that the Dark Order stuff was going to close the show because the crowd really reached the apex of their energy cheering at the end of that, and rightfully so. And everything was just sort of descending energy after that. The audience didn't feel fully behind Sammy, as opposed to other towns they've been in where Sammy got a main event reaction. They came alive at the end. When there was the last 3 minutes or so, the audience was super rabid, but there was a lot of quiet spots during this, which were not deserved because Sammy was working his ass off. It was a fine finish. I guess we're going to get a rematch for this at some point. I think we all had other people we wanted to see unseat Miro to get that push, and instead it was Sammy, and hopefully this will propel him going forward. It also made me forget, oh yeah, he's in Inner Circle, and there are still factions in this company that exist, because he came out wearing the vest, but nobody else in Inner Circle seems to be anywhere. Mike, did you like this match?
I did. I am a big Sammy fan. I totally agree on the Inner Circle of it all. I mean, the beginning of this hour, you had FTR, and they mentioned the Pinnacle, and it's like,
yeah,
are they still a thing? Is the Inner Circle, like, I get Sammy with Fuego because that is the direct story they've been telling, but like Marco Stunt was out there, and like one of the Dark Order guys, I think Angels, I'm not sure. And then, but it should have been at least like Santana, Ortiz, something. It was that. So that was weird to me, but I did like Sammy winning. I mean, I thought there was more meat on the Kingston Miro of it all with the low blow finish and everything. But, this was a fun moment. And I really think, and it's not something we talked about yet, with this episode, this being a Brody Lee tribute episode, and I think that was part of the reason they did a positive babyface title change here. I really love what they did with the Brody stuff. We had the Dark Order match, then we had Anna and Ty, and they both went over. They were just fun, crowd pleasing matches. I love that they were honoring this guy because they were in his hometown. And I think, to me, that means a lot more than if they did it on the anniversary of his passing. I think there's something, I love that there are kind of themes within the episodes. When we went to Cincinnati, and it was Moxley and Pillman and, Britsburg, and last night was very much that with, -1 and the Brody tributes and the signs and how much everybody loved them. There was something really classy about that. That's one of the things I really like about the company, is that it didn't feel like something they did for ratings. It felt like something they did for the people in the arena. And that I don't know, that deserves to be commended to me. I'll say I didn't know who that 8th guy in the Hardy thing was.
Who is that guy?
Oh, the Rock stunt double?
I
had no idea.
I was like, is that bloated Maven? Yeah, I didn't know who that was. Has he been in the group?
I feel like that's the way you get people in AEW now, is that like you just sneak, like you know how you like sneak friends into high school parties?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing where it's like, no, bro, just show up, be part of our faction, and eventually Tony's gonna hire you. That's how it works.
What I don't get is that, because like I guess they wanted Orange out there because he's over, but like if Orange isn't out there, then it's 7-on-7, and you could have just had that guy not there. It was just like the whole time I'm watching, you know, and he took all the offense at the end where the crowd went fucking crazy. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Oh, and since we're talking about that match, the like 15-on-15 match, the only thing I was waiting for that entire match that never happened was I wanted to hear Punk acknowledge Colt Cabana's existence, and he never did.
Wow, dude, I didn't even think about
the whole thing I was watching. I'm like, are they really going to have Punk on commentary for a Colt Cabana match? Because the last time Punk got taken out on commentary before Colt was out there. So this is the first time they were in the same space at the same time, and Punk never mentions him. Excalibur is the one that brings up Colt Cabana being there.
Because he's in the match, right?
He's in the match. He's one of the wrestlers. But anytime he did anything, it was just awkward silence. It was like being around like a divorced couple at a party. It was very uncomfortable.
I think you're the one who mentioned it, Robert, like the Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis of it all. If we got some kind of camaraderie moment, but I mean, maybe it just isn't genuinely there yet between those guys.
I don't think it's there. But and to your point, the Brody Lee stuff they did was really fantastic. I didn't realize they were doing that in advance. I hadn't seen any of the stuff, and I was friends with Brody, so it was a bit of a gut punch when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a tough 2 hours to get through, but it was very positive. It was really well done. They weaved in this. I feel like they started doing the Dark Order split because they knew they were getting to this show. And I'm kind of hoping that was how it is. Like, I just picture Tony Khan as that Charlie Day meme where he has all the strings behind him on a board with everything connected. And he's like, we're going to tease this Dark Order turn for weeks and weeks and weeks so that they all reunite here because of -1 and Brody's wife. And I'm like, if that was their goal, that's fucking brilliant storytelling. If they stumbled into this, hey, that happens too.
Yeah, and then what else was in this? Oh, Lambert. I mean, I didn't mention enough about this. The thing is, like, fucking, there are these manly men. By the way, I looked up what the definition of a millennial is, and it is anyone born between 1981 and 96. And both Scorpio and Ethan Page are very much millennials. Ethan Page was born in 89, Scorpio 83. So Ethan definitely a millennial, according to that. But Scorpio doing a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog reference.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? It was like,
I reached for the Sonic ring. Oh, but like, at least be the character a little bit. And dude, like, and he got something that I have not heard in AEW yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. The what chance? He got whatted.
I heard the shut the fuck up chant. That was fun.
No, that was Lambert got that. Then Scorpio talked, and he started getting what chance. Then Ethan Page talked, and he was good. He's a great promo, man. He was awesome.
He's a very good promo, underrated promo, underrated all around.
The tightest tits was really funny, but the fact that they stopped doing the what's, he silenced them on the what's. But like, Scorpio is a really talented wrestler. He just feels very uncomfortable in this role.
Well, it's just, I think everyone, it doesn't help we live in the internet age because, like, and everybody has had nothing but great things to say about that guy, Scorpio Sky. Mm-hmm. So it's like, he just doesn't, you don't get him to hate you. You just don't naturally hate the guy for whatever reason. You know, he just doesn't have that, he doesn't have that face that you naturally hate, like a Dan Lambert.
Right. Yeah. And his promo made total sense. It was, I've been busting my ass here this whole time. I've done everything you want me to do, and I'm not getting an opportunity to succeed. And like, well, fuck, that's kind of a lot of the guys in the locker room probably feel that way that started in AEW, like a Joey Janela or something. And they're on his entire Joey Janela's entire heel turn and feud has existed only on Dark.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny too, because like in this hour you had like Hikaru Shida promo where she's like, I may get my 50th win next week. And I'm like, I don't remember you from the last 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do think that was like a good thing, good way to bring her back in a weird way, you know, where it's like, remember, I'm still really good. But what did you guys think before we sign off here? What did you think of the MJF Darby promo?
I loved it. I thought it was really fun. I'll let you go next, Robert, because I know that you're a little heartbroken that you were teased and not mentioned. But no, this was fucking. I mean, MJF is the best heel in wrestling right now, and one of the best ever, because you look at other heels in the company, on the show, and how people react to them. You know, he doesn't get the shut the fuck up chance. He doesn't get the what chance. He doesn't get pops. He gets real, genuine heat. The shit with Darby, the wrong man died. I mean, as a big Walk Hard fan, I love that. It was so fun. He really the school shooter line, I think, was something else, like Scott mentioned to me and you, Dan, of like, or was it you? Like, I can't believe that aired, that got.
I can't believe something so accurate aired.
Yeah, I know, but still, it did. It was. I mean, it was dead on and fucking hilarious. Yeah, this is. I mean, dude, if we, I think. Oh, the thing I love the most about this was the talk of, and I don't think they've ever brought up the 4 pillars of Jungle Boy, Sammy, Darby, and MJF, which to me really does feel like 5, and you would put Page there, right? Am I wrong there? He definitely feels like one of the.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird. He was almost like at a higher spot when he started.
Yeah, but I love that they even acknowledge that these are the homegrown guys, and you really do look at how far they've all come, and that's, you know, a credit to their talent and the booking. It was really, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I like that Darby didn't just attack him. I like when the show feels different. I like that Punk wasn't attacked again. Like he said, I've got the Lloyds of London and I'm protecting myself so I won't get attacked. And then he didn't get attacked. It makes the show feel different if the same shit doesn't happen every time. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And I love how many live MJF promos we've gotten recently, because he's the best at it.
Robert.
Yeah, this. I mean, if this was this would have been my high spot of the week. It's pretty much always happening. Max's promos are second to none. You put him out there. He's doing the old ECW thing of, you're acknowledging the other companies and you're acknowledging the other options of, you know, I'm the youngest. I'm the guy who opened this company. I'm the youngest guy to ever main event. If I don't start getting what I want, I'm gonna go elsewhere. You know, we talked about Tony Khan. You're one of my 2 favorite Khans. It's like we're winking at the crowd of, I know Nick Khan. He invoked Bruce Pritchard. He's like, I got Bruce's number on the phone. It's this idea of, I'm a bigger star than what you have here, and you have to cater to me if you want me to stick around. And WWE would never do that, because they're not going to acknowledge there's another wrestling company in the world. It gives AEW a real advantage that they can talk about the entire tapestry of wrestling. They brought up Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, talking about how he was from Rochester. They're not afraid.
Well, that's because JR thought he was there.
Well, yeah, that he thought that. Well, Punk was looking a little pudgy, but I love that you can just acknowledge the broader universe that there is, and acknowledge that the WWE is there, and use it in your promo as a threat of, you guys have 4 young guys that you're going to build on in the future. I'm the brightest star, and if I don't start getting what I want, I'm going to go elsewhere. I think the feud with him and Darby will be a lot of fun. Those guys have great chemistry with each other when they do wrestle. We've done fun stuff with them in the past. There's a lot of opportunities for them to do wacky things here. I have a feeling they'll use this to take out Sting and really start fucking with Darby. And maybe this is the backdoor to getting to CM Punk and MJF at some point. But it's going to be a great opportunity for Max to have a feud with someone who's not 50-something years old. And I think that these guys are going to do the young guy, homegrown talent feud that AEW needs to balance out all of the, hey, we're bringing in this guy, we're bringing in this guy, we're bringing in this guy. I'm glad they didn't bring Bray Wyatt out on this show. And I think that the Darby MJF feud is a very homegrown feud. And if they pull Sammy into this and you get a triple threat out of that, that's going to be fucking awesome. Or a 4-way with these three and Jungle Boy at the pay-per-view for the TNT title, and just highlighting we have all this great young talent.
Oh yeah, that's great. Like a 4 pillars match.
I think you're planting the seeds for it. And yes, I was disappointed when Max invoked MLW and didn't say he was calling me, because clearly I have more sway than Bruce.
All right, folks.
I did love Punk's line on that. It's not everyone has his number. That popped me. I mean, yeah, it's the dude is. Yeah, it's so funny that Dan Lambert is shitting on young people and millennials, and every fucking week, a 24-year-old blows them out of the water.
Well, I mean, I think he just wants to play wrestler. I mean, it's good advertisement. It's good advertisement for his fucking his gym. I guess everybody already knew about it, but
it's 10 minutes down the road from my house, and I'm not fucking going there. Yeah, so it didn't work that well.
What he should start advertising is deep breaths and periods. Because his promos have none.
No, he has the promo skills of Pete Rose at WrestleMania, but lacks the charisma of Pete Rose at WrestleMania.
Or the fun instinct to go, how about it?
How about it?
All right, folks, this was our Dynamite review.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.